Hey y'all, so it's Lauren, the Soap Witch here. Super excited and ready to go. I am about to start a brand new journey on revamping my bar soaps. Not to be confused with the beer soaps, okay? Which are also bars, but they're circles. I'm talking about the square bars. Okay, now that we got that out the way. I've been thinking about this for a while. One, I want to try some different scents, some different fragrances, because who doesn't love that? And then two, I really have wanted for years to make an aloe vera soap bar. So for those who are not familiar with soap making, you need your liquid and you need your fat and you need a strong base in order to make the soap. So your liquid is usually water, and then the fat is usually oils or butters, cosmetic butters, and then your lye is usually the strong base. So when people say they make a milk soap, that meant that they replace the water with milk. So in my case, I'm going to replace water with aloe vera juice. I am super excited because I've already been working with it being aloe vera juice on some body washes that I'm testing, and I love it. Okay, not to put too fine a point on it, but I really enjoy what do I enjoy? I have to think about it. Words, they like to be elusive. But I really enjoy how when I use the body wash that I've made with the aloe vera juice, that I feel clean, but I don't feel stripped and dry and bare. Like my skin still feels nice after I've cleansed it. And so I am ideally hoping that the soaps, it will have the same effect on soap. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so this is going to be my first test. I'm super extra excited, and let's go ahead. I'm gonna put on all my serious stuff, all my safety things, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started on a super exciting journey. Okay, I'll talk long enough.
Okay, the soap process that I use is countertop hot process or fluid hot process. So I'm going to go ahead and measure in all of my oils, the hard oils in first, just because I'm being OCD, and then the soft oils going in next. Okay, really? My throat just wants to sound like it's been run across gravel. Anywho, I measure those in and let them melt. And then I add in my liquid, so it's going to be aloe vera juice. And then you saw me add in sugar, and that is sodium lactate. The reason I add those in is because it helps keep the soap fluid at the end, and also it helps for a nice harder bar that has a lovely, what you call that when it foams up? Lather, that's it. Okay. So then you saw me measure out my lye, and then I add that lye to my aloe vera. Always add lye to your liquid, never the other way around. So I stir that up. When both the oils and the lye are somewhere around 200 degrees, no less than 180 for me, then it's time to combine them. My mouth hates me today. What is this? Okay, so gonna pour that in, and then take my stick blender and stick blend. I like to stick blend to trace. It's usually kind of a light-ish trace, because I don't know, when both of the parts are so hot, they just act a little different. I don't know, but anywho, it's about a light trace. After about literally 2 seconds, sometimes I turn around and come back and it's trying to volcano at the pot. It is trying to volcano. I don't let it go too high, because really this pot is kind of too small for this 10-pound batch of soap, and I should do it in something larger, but I'm being defiant. So I can't let the volcano go too high, or it will be out the pot and out of my control before I know it. So that was me just stirring it back down and then just kind of scraping the sides of the pot. And then I'm going to put that lid back on, hope for the best, because, I'm waiting for the second volcano. And then I'm going to pull out my tiny scale. Before I was using my huge scale. My tiny scale, because these are really small measurements that I'm doing here for the colorants. So I just take some oil that I reserved from the original recipe, and I add the colorants in there because I feel like they disperse better. So you just see me marking on my batch sheet. Here is where I take notes and just check off that I've included an ingredient already, so that I don't re-add it, or so that I don't forget any. It's very handy if you're making stuff. You want that. Okay, so I stirred that colorant in there. And I was also just measuring. I want to transfer my recipe to not have tablespoons, but only have like grams, because that's easier to transfer into larger or smaller amounts. So anyway, here you see that it was volcanoing again. And I'm just, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm just, it's too early. I should have waited. To do this voiceover, but I was so anxious to get it done. Okay, so I was just stirring that volcano down so it wouldn't flow right out the pot. It will, guys. Trust me. Volcanoes can never be trusted. So I stirred it down, and now I'm going to go back to measuring out my colorants and seeing how much each tablespoon or half a tablespoon weighs for future reference, because that's what I'm marking down on my sheet there when you saw me marking something down earlier. So I'm just adding my next color to the oil and then stirring it in so that it mixed thoroughly with the oil. I don't know, some people, I don't know if they've tried water, but oil seems to be the go-to here and works the best. So I'm adding in my final colorant and just giving that a stir. And now I'm going to weigh out my fragrance oil. I usually do that toward the end. Sometimes I try to get all the colorants and stuff measured beforehand, but you know, life be life, and it doesn't happen. So that's simply all it is. So the soap is kind of volcanoing again. You can see how it's just kind of turning and not separating, but you can see it's having a shift there with the different colors and textures going on. So at this point, I usually just get impatient with the whole process and I just stir it to completion. And you can see it kind of shifting and changing as I stir, the color changing, the texture changing. And this is like the final. I get one last volcano that really tried its best to thwart me and come right out the pot. I did not let it. I am stuffing it right back in there. You will not get the best of me. Thank you. Okay. So I've stirred that and beat it into submission, just as a good soaper would do. And now that I finally got control of this bad boy, I can breathe a sigh of relief and clean off the top of my pot, because yeah, it kind of got out of control there. So now that I've gotten that kind of cleaned up, I'm just going to finish stirring this up. You'll just start to see that it starts to have a shiny appearance. And the shiny appearance, we call that like the Vaseline stage. That's what you want. You want that Vaseline stage. It kind of looks like Vaseline, in the jar. Very shiny, thicker consistency. That means it's done. We're finished cooking this soap. So that looks really Vaseline-y right there, doesn't it? So here I am adding full fat Greek yogurt. You do not have to add full fat or Greek yogurt. You can just add plain yogurt. I would not go with what would I not go with? One that has a flavor. That's it. You don't want that. Bits of random fruit in your soap. Anyway, so I stir that in thoroughly, and then I take the temperature. I don't want to add my fragrance until the soap is about 180 degrees or less, because I feel like I get the strongest and most longest lasting outcome of my fragrance. I don't know if that was all good English or if I just sound like a nonsensical person. Anyway, I stir that all in, give that a good mix, and make sure the fragrance is thoroughly incorporated. So I take out my big scale. Once again, that's what I use to measure out everything else. You just couldn't see it because the pot was so big it was covering it up. So I take large containers and I'm going to separate the soap into these different containers to add my fragrances. So obviously the more no, it's not adding fragrances. Lord have mercy. My colorants, have mercy. Get my mind and my mouth together. So yeah, I like to add my colorants to the soaps in these separated containers. And then obviously the more colorant I have, the bigger the container, the more soap. If that makes sense. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I'll go later and sit down and just reassess the quality of my life here. Anyway, so I'm going to pour this in and do the same thing, measure out how much I want. And then usually the last bit I don't have to measure, ideally. And so that's just the last bit. So I just pour that into its container. And then I put the colorant in, give it a good stir just to make sure that the color is fully incorporated. Don't want uncolored strange bits of soap. that would be odd and awkward. No, no, thank you. So I'm gonna do my last colorant here. I don't know why it looks like the light got brighter there. Anywho, ADHD. Okay, so stirring that final color in so that I can go ahead and bring out my soap molds and pour the soap. So pouring the soap is where you actually get your design, your pattern, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to throw my colors in here and whatever layered organization order that I chose. Usually I just kind of make sure that I have contrasting colors next to each other. That's kind of how I like to do it. So I don't put the dark colors next to the dark colors. Holy cow, my mouth, what is going on? I don't put the dark colors next to the dark colors because I think it's easier to see them that way. So I'm using an actual hanger for the hanger swirl. Usually people have a tool, but I don't have one. I've just been using a hanger. I feel like the tool probably would give me better, like a more noticeable design, if you will, but I just usually kind of do some figure eights and then some big circles around. I was still trying to figure out how many figure eights and circles I wanted to do, because I feel like when I do too many, the soap just starts to look muddled and not pretty. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I did that with all 3 of the molds, and then I just take, I have to have my fairy dust, okay, and so I just sprinkle that across the top of the soap, and voila, finished. There we go. It's a nice up close. It's really pretty and vibrant, and I was a fan. So I'll usually leave that in the freezer for like 5 or 6 hours, and then it makes it easy. It make the soap, okay, sorry, start over. Whoop, okay. Let the soap finish in there is finished, but I just make sure it's complete. Don't want any issues or errors. I've never had any problems with my soap coming out like lye heavy or any of that since I've been doing this process. And then it also just makes it easier to get out of the mold if it's frozen. So pull that out of there, and I got these cute little handy paper towels to just sit over here and absorb any water condensation so that it doesn't just run all over the table. Alright, so now it's time to cut. I wait until it's thawed out to cut, because I broke my last cutter by not waiting. Okay, so that's the first one. I'm just going to show you a few, not every single soap because that would make this video way too long, but just seeing how it turns out. One of my favorite things about soap is that you can mix and match the same recipe, same colorant, same everything every single time, and every time you cut the soap you will get a completely different result. And so my favorite part, I just love cutting the soap and just seeing what magic I get at the end. So here I decided that I was going to take the little shards, whatever, of soap the next, after the cut, and do a lather test. So if you don't know anything about soap, or if you don't know anything about handmade soap, the longer it sits, the better it gets, the juicier the lather. But as you can see, after like 3 swipes of my hand, I got some decent bubbles. And so that just kind of lets me know that this is going to be an excellent performing soap. I already know that it is because I made this soap in like April. And it's already on my website. And so I have used and tested this baby and several of the others, because I personally test each new soap. I'm not putting crap out there. I'm going to know that it's amazing before I stick it out there. But the lather is really good for this to have been like less than 24 hours after the soap was made. And so I'm really impressed with myself. I'm just saying, I'm going to toot my own horn. The Aloe Vera soap line has turned out to be awesome and beautiful and wonderful, as you will see as I continue to share the videos. But yeah, that's all I got. If you stuck through this, I appreciate you, and thanks for watching. I'll see you later.